Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another Ageless Energy show. I'm excited to jump in and talk about routines to equal consistency. So I'm going to talk about that today live. If you guys are watching live and you have questions, I'm happy to answer live questions. I actually prefer questions throughout. If you were listening as a replay on our Facebook page, facebook.com/ageless energy, you can ask questions and we'll answer on the replay afterwards. And you could be listening as a podcast or on YouTube as well. We try to repurpose, regardless. Here we are. And you could be listening as a nice. Okay. Good morning, Tracy. Okay, let's see. Patience, patience, patience. That's something that is on my mind. I have some exciting news. The product is here. Those of you that haven't been following along or newer probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but we have a launch party for a brand new product that we're going to be talking about, or we're going to be launching on Wednesday. This is top secret. Very few people know, and Tracy is one of them. Tracy is one of our brand partners and distributors in the Red Deer, Sylvan area. She carries most of our products, so you can reach out to her if you're in that area and you need anything. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Samantha. So it's been a long, frustrating wait for us to get this product in, and there's been delays on every corner. But it's here, and we're excited, and we're moving forward. So I'm going to explain that in more detail. So we're going to launch Wednesday night at 7 p.m. live. So you would need to sign up using our link. So if you want that link, if you haven't signed up, let us know so we can send you the link. It's going to be on Zoom. So you need the link. You're not able to just show up on Facebook or somewhere else randomly. You need a specific link to join us. And that's so we can also send you the replay after. But those that are live, we have a bunch of prizes and giveaways. We have one very special offer that's going to happen that night, and that's going to be available only to the people that are there live. And then we're going to have giveaways. We have our own product giveaways. We have some of our product giveaways. We have a $300 product coupon that we're giving away. We have Teresa's offering a 1-hour massage. She's in the Olds area. And then we have Bev. She's doing. She did a little package of some of her fair trade products. So we got lots going on. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting. So hopefully you guys get a chance to jump in and join. If not, still make sure you're on the list so you can get the replay and you can be one of the first. We'll also have some type of incentive if you're watching the replay and have the opportunity to get in early because it's exciting and we want to celebrate. And you guys have been amazing. We have an amazing community, and we want to do some little extra special things with you guys and for you guys. So here we are. Routines. I got to tell you. So I started going to a local type of gym specifically for recovery, and I've been wanting to get my own ice bath, and in the past I've done crazy things like taken shovels of snow and put in my bathtub. I had a mini deep freeze and I'd fill that with snow and I'd sit in that as an ice tub, and where I'm at right now, it's not so, how can I say, I don't like the word not possible. It's limiting options to do that kind of thing. And I'm putting my body through a lot of stress through the training, through the Spartan training, which I really enjoy. So I want to make sure my recovery is on point. So I've been going to this just this week, I think, actually. Anyways, they have a hot tub and they have a cold tub, and the cold tub's basically an ice tub. It's freezing. They called it cold tub, and I was like, oh, it's just cold. It's probably not that cold, and it was freezing. So I sit in the ice tub and I'm freezing, and this older gentleman comes over and he jumps in. He doesn't jump in, he walks in, and he's probably 75, 80 if I had to guess, and he just walks in there like it's his job. And he said good morning. And I talked to him for a few minutes, and he said that he goes in there every day. I'm telling you this story because I'm hoping it'll stretch your mindset a little bit, because sometimes people are like, oh, I'm too old for that, or it's too uncomfortable, or whatever. We have a million different excuses. But for him in particular, I thought it was really cool. So yeah, he gets in there. And I said, how often do you come in here? He said, every day. And I said, how long do you stay in? He said, 3 minutes. And he said, he's like, I tried to stay in longer, but I don't find it helps too much more than 3 minutes. And it's uncomfortable. So that's a good amount of time for me to be uncomfortable, to feel benefits. He said, I did some research as well. And the research that I found says there's not too many more benefits after sitting in an ice tub for 3 minutes. And I said, okay, that's great. And then he says to me, he's given me a moment of learning and teaching. He says, it's all about routine. He said, come in here every day for 3 minutes, do my workout, ice bath, shower, and go home. And I'm like, wow. You just simplified my job in one sentence. It's all about routine. So that's why today that's what inspired this conversation today. I was like, we should talk about routine, because so many people struggle with consistency. And I feel like in most cases, consistency wins out. Anything you want to accomplish requires consistency. If you want to be a good parent, you consistently do take actions to be a good parent. If you want to be a good business owner, you got to take consistent actions. If you're sporadic, it doesn't work. You can't show up for one day and then take 3 days off, right? It's the same thing with exercise. If you're going to exercise, this is what we see is people jump in with 2 feet. They are all in, all or nothing types of people. They do their exercises for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they don't do any exercises for 2 weeks. And then they're like, hey, how come I'm not getting results? And I'm like, you haven't been working out for 2 weeks. Let me go over some comments here. Shelly jumped in here. Jessica jumped in here. Good morning, Rhonda. Jessica says, icy ice tubs. Let me try again. Icy ice tubs are a hot commodity. What are the benefits from doing ice baths? Oh my gosh. Endless. Jessica says, agreed. Consistency and routine is key. Yeah, 100%. I have done full shows on that. I can actually send you the show. The benefits of I call it cold water therapy. You can call it ice tub, ice bath. I used to ice bath years ago as a professional athlete, and found many benefits to recovering more quickly from sports in particular. And then years ago, Tim Ferriss wrote a book called The 4-Hour Body. Tons of incredible information in that book, all scientific research. He has numbers. He has all kinds of crazy statistics. That was before it hit mainstream. That was years ago. That was, gosh, at least 10 years ago. I would venture to say it could have been 20 years ago. Maybe not that long. But years ago that he was like, hey, you guys should really ice bath, because it can burn we have different types of fat, and the ice baths will help you burn a different type of fat that's harder to reach. It also helps with, for me, it helps with confidence. Like, I feel great because every time you get in there, you don't want to do it. I went in there earlier in this week, and I was sitting in there, and I was mentioning about how this individual, this older gentleman, was in an ice bath with me. That sounds funny. We were in the ice bath together, and he was talking about routines and consistency, and he goes in the ice tub every day. He was saying for 3 minutes, and tons of health benefits. We have a full show about benefits of cold water therapy, which I can send anyone that requests. So feel free to ask below, and we'll send that your way. But when it comes to consistency in particular, I feel like it doesn't matter what it is that we're doing in life. Consistency wins out. Like, to see results. Like, if you want to be a good parent, you do certain things on a regular basis to be a good parent, right? You do consistent things to as an entrepreneur. You can't show up to work once or twice a week and expect to have a successful business. It just doesn't work like that. When I was an athlete, a professional athlete, I would still consider myself an athlete in a different realm. As a professional athlete, you had to perform every single day, and it was like a super stressful environment. You could, if you took a day off, if you had a bad game, there was someone waiting for your spot, and you could be removed, and someone takes your place, and that's it. You're gone. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're at work, and you do a good job one time, and the next 3 times you do a horrible job. Are you going to keep your job? Probably not. Certainly not long term. So it's the same thing when it comes to fitness and exercise and nutrition. If you do, a lot of times I see people come in, they're all or nothing. Like they want to do everything, all the things, and then that lasts for 3 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks they fall off because they haven't really built consistent habits or stacked habits, or they just kind of flying by the seat of their pants, going full tilt, trying to hold on. So I want to give you some tools and ideas that to take away that you can help move you forward and help you get the results that you're looking for. So let's dive in a little bit here. For habits in particular, looking at let's say you could look at your week or look at your month. I'm a big fan of time blocking and having a plan for your month in advance and having a plan for your week in advance. If you take a step back, like the month before can set you up for your next month. Do you know what I mean? So if you don't do anything to prepare for your next month, a lot of times we don't look forward. We're just trying to get through this moment, and we don't look at, I'm not a huge fan of like a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, but if you don't know where you're going, how can you set a plan, right? So your planning starts before. It's just like everything happens in a delayed sense. Most times people we want instant results, instant gratification. If you look at your metabolism is slightly delayed it takes time for you to increase your metabolism and start putting your body in a fat burning stage. So once we start doing that, you're burning body fat at a higher pace, right? At a higher rate. But the problem here is that if your metabolism is burning at a high rate, and let's say 3 weeks are going well and you're doing really well, metabolism is burning, you're eating the meals that we suggest on the meal plan, you're getting your workouts in, and then you have a weekend or a week that didn't particularly go well, and then you step on the scale and you're like, oh, it stayed the same, which was good, or I still dropped a pound, which is odd. And then the next week, you have a good week, the scale might show up a pound or 2, let's say. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened. I did everything right. But we don't realize that our metabolism is delayed, and it takes time to catch up when you're looking at tangible numbers, let's say. And that's very similar to, let's say, hydration. That's an easy one. So sometimes people will say, they're like, I'm thirsty. So they go and they chug a bunch of water, right? But you're thirsty usually from the day before. So whatever you did, maybe it was a long run, maybe it was food with MSG, lots of sodium, for example. Whatever it is that you happened the day before, you'll usually feel the effects the next day. So you're dehydrated because of the day, not that day. You're like, so that day you could be drinking a bunch of water, and you're like, I've been drinking water all day. I don't know what happened. I can't seem to quench my thirst. It's because of what happened the day before. And then you rehydrate that day, and then you're not going to be hydrated till the next day. So I'll give you an example. When I do my Spartans, or when my wife Dorothy does her half marathons or marathons, we get her hydrated before. It doesn't make any sense you still have to drink water on your run, but you can't chug water, because then you have a full belly with water jiggling around. What we do is we drink a gallon of water the day before the race or the run, so that way you're properly hydrated for the following day. So I guess That's a long explanation for when we're stacking habits, we have to look at in advance. What's going to happen? What are we doing? What does our day, week, month look like? So let's say, for example, you want to create better sleep habits or a sleep routine. You want to sleep better. Let me take a step back. If you want to sleep better, then you take a step back and you create better routines in the evening. Most times people, they have a hard time waking up in the morning. So when I hear someone that says, oh, well, I sleep in and I don't particularly sleep well. So then I look back and I say, okay, what does your evening routine look like? Are you getting yourself ready that night? Are you in the habit of getting your meals prepped, supplements poured? So when you wake up, that's a habit to just drink it. So a couple takeaways here is that always look backwards instead of forwards. I think most times we don't look forwards at all. So let's look backwards to see what it is that we can set in advance to prepare for the future, and then creating those habits. So a habit of, or the goal that you're working towards is to sleep better. So let's look at those habits that you're creating. Are we looking at blue light, like scrolling through a news feed, watching TV on your computer right before bed? That's going to keep you up. So that habit needs to change for you to get a different result. Then you can look at stimulants like caffeine, alcohol, tobacco. Those are stimulants like we put in our body. Highly processed food, refined sugar, all that those types of things put into our body late at night is waking our body up. And then we say, oh, I've never been a good sleeper. And I'm like, well, how many years have you been scrolling through your news feed and eating a bag of chips? Like most of the time, right? And fill in the blank, if it's not the news feed, you're watching the news, which puts most people in a heightened state of being, which is what the news is for. And then we try to sleep and we can't fall asleep and we don't know why. And then we chalk it up as, that's just how I am. I don't sleep particularly well. Nothing works. And you've tried 2 capsules of melatonin for 3 weeks and it didn't work. So you didn't try anything else ever again. Okay. So I would suggest that the night before is prepping for your day. So just what I said earlier, like for me, for example, I will make our shakes the night before. So shakes are poured. I put in there a few different things, shake it up, put in the fridge, and then pull it out first thing in the morning so it's ready for the morning. When it comes to supplements, I put in our homemade kombucha in a glass, and then I put our liquid magnesium, vitamin D, K2, zinc, both liquid forms, and then 5 tabs of spirulina. Those are out sitting on the counter that night. So when I wake up in the morning, there's no thought process. There's no time. I wake up, I grab my kombucha. It's basically like our multivitamin with the spirulina, pop the spirulina, and I sip on the kombucha concoction for maybe 10 minutes. So the habit of making those the night before creates success for my morning. So I set my day up for success the night before. So that's the habits that I'm talking about. If you look at your weekly routine of meal prep and getting yourself set up for success for nutrition for the week, we call it our Sunday success system. And that's when, so for our members, we put out meal plans for them Thursday afternoon, depending on the week, before Friday noon. So usually Thursday evening, Friday morning kind of thing. So we suggest getting groceries Saturday, meal prepping Sunday, and then off and running on Monday. So with the you have your grocery list. If you don't have someone to make a grocery list for you, this is where the habit comes in. So every Friday, I would suggest you would time block. So every Friday at 3 p.m., you would write out your grocery list for the food that you want to have that week. You probably have to take a step further and decide these are the exact meals that I want. Like, I want chicken this week, I want fish this week, I want broccoli this week. Do you know what I mean? So your meals would be, this week we're going to have chicken, broccoli, and rice. No one wants to hear that one. So let's say that's going to be one of your meals. And then another meal is going to be steak and potatoes and orzo or quinoa. right? So then you decide your meals first, and then you write your grocery list from the meals that you want to have. So I would suggest, if you don't have someone doing that for you, you say, I'm going to block off every Friday at 3 o'clock to make my meal plan, make my grocery list, and then every Saturday at 10 o'clock, I'm going to get my groceries, and then Sunday, you block again. Now, you can do this more condensed in a day if you have time. It's just the consistency that this gentleman was talking about while we were ice tubbing of the more often that you do something on a consistent basis, the easier it is to be consistent. So for example, when I'm working with our clients and I say, I have a really hard time getting up in the morning. I'm like, okay, so we look at the evening routines first. We've already went over that. So in the morning, I would like you to start waking up at the same day every time. At the same time every day. And they're like, oh no, I only have workouts Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I'll just get up early Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'll sleep in an hour later Tuesday, Thursday. Here's the problem with that is your body doesn't know when to get up. If you get up every day at the exact same time, your body just starts to naturally wake up. It's like, hey, isn't it time to get up? Eventually you don't need an alarm clock to get up at that time. Your body just naturally wakes up. But if you're waking up at 6 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7:30 Tuesday, Thursday, 10 o'clock Saturday, Sunday, your body has no idea what's going on. It doesn't know when to get up, doesn't know when to fall asleep. It's the same thing with your evening, right? If you go to sleep, like we try to go to sleep. I know this is extreme. It's not for everyone. It works for our lifestyle. We're up at 4 o'clock. This week, we've been up at 3:45 so I can get to the gym and get to work at a regular time, at a decent time. So let's say up at 4 o'clock, but in bed by 9 o'clock. So we start our routine between 8 and 8:30. Everyone's fully ready for bed by 1:45, 9 o'clock, we're in bed, and hopefully falling asleep between 9 and 9:30. On a better night, we're asleep between 9 and 9:15, right? So then we have enough sleep to get up at 4 a.m. So I hope that gives you some insight on what the things that you need to do. I think most of the time we don't plan. Like, we're not looking. I'm not a big planner myself, but if we don't never look to the future and like what is it that we actually want, and how can we come up with a plan to make this happen? Most of the times we just fly by the seat of our pants and we try to get by on a daily basis, and we just struggle. And the struggle is real. And we struggle with routines. We struggle with consistency. We forget our supplements. If you put your supplements out the night before, every night, like instead of laying on the couch, scrolling through your news feed, like 8 o'clock, every night, go and create your supplements. And then in the morning, every day, you wake up at 7, like let's say 7 o'clock, you start taking your supplements. You won't have to try to remember. It just becomes routine. It just becomes something that you do. And that's where I would like to see you get to. That's what we work with our members. We work with them to get them to that place. So if you're watching this as a member, that's something we want you to start implementing if you haven't already. I say members, we have our Metabolism Accelerator program. That's our one-on-one program where we work with women 40 plus. In most cases, increase energy, burn body fat, balance hormones. This is kind of things that we focus on. So hopefully that gives you some insight on some of the things that you can do to start creating better habits in your life, to create consistency, which will give you more results. That's all I have. Any questions at all, let me know. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. Have a great weekend. You can find us at trueformlife.com. All of our products and services are on there. So happy to help if we can do anything for you. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.